Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into something that frustrates a lot of you, especially if you're maybe over 40. We're talking about building that upper chest. You know, the feeling years in the gym, you're putting in the effort, but, well, the collarbones still kind of stick out. The chest just doesn't look finished.
Yeah, it feels incomplete for so many guys.
Yeah.
And, our sources today, they point to this pretty striking number, like 99% of men in that age group really struggle with this specific area.
99%.
It's huge. And look, it's not always just about not trying hard enough or even not knowing anything. This area is it's notoriously tricky.
Yeah.
And yeah, it definitely gets harder after 40. Hormones like testosterone naturally decline. That plays a big part.
Right.
But also, there's just maybe a lack of deep understanding about the muscle itself, its specific structure, and how to really, really engage it properly.
Exactly. And that's what we're here for today, right? This deep dive is going to be your shortcut. We'll unpack the anatomy a bit, the structure of the chest. Then we'll get into biggest mistakes, the things holding you back.
Common pitfalls.
Yeah, the pitfalls. But we won't just point fingers. We're going to arm you with some specific, really effective exercises, things you can actually use to transform your upper chest.
And the best part,
Go on.
you really only need to pick, say, 2 of these movements each week to start seeing some genuine progress.
2 a week. That sounds manageable. Okay, let's unpack this then. Many of you listening right now, you might be making some of these crucial mistakes and not even know it. So the first big one our sources talk about, they call it the angle deception. We all kind of know incline is for upper chest, right? But
Yeah.
What's the real story on the angle? What's perfect?
Yeah, this is so critical. It's not just any incline. It's about getting that angle just right. The science is pretty clear here. Studies show that if your bench angle is under, say, 30 degrees, you're mostly just hitting your mid-chest.
Okay, so too low is no good for the upper part.
Right. But then if you go too high, like over 45 degrees, you end up putting a ton of load onto your front shoulders.
Ah, so you take the tension off the upper chest you're trying to hit.
Exactly. It reduces the effectiveness for the target muscle. So the sweet spot, according to the research,
Let me guess. Between 30 and 45.
precisely, somewhere in that 30 to 45 degree range seems to be optimal for activating the upper chest fibers.
And I imagine you might need to tweak it a bit based on the exercise or even your own body mechanics.
Absolutely. That range is the target. But fine-tuning is always smart. The key reason this angle works is, well, it puts the clavicular head fibers, that's the upper part of your pec muscle,
right.
it puts them in the best position to do the work without letting other muscles, like those front delts, jump in and take over too much. It's about proper engagement.
Makes sense. Okay, angle dialed in. What's the next hurdle? The sources mentioned something called the priority pitfall. What's that about?
Ah, yes. This one's huge. Think about a typical chest day for most people. What do they usually start with?
Flat bench press. Probably the heaviest one.
Exactly. Flat pressing, focusing on the middle, maybe lower chest. So by the time they actually get around to incline work for the upper chest, what's happened?
Energy's down, focus is maybe wandering a bit.
Precisely. You're fatigued. And the research is quite consistent here. Muscles you train first in a workout, when you're fresh and focused, they tend to get significantly better gains.
Okay, this really made me rethink things. I mean, just imagine the difference. If your upper chest is lagging, just flip it. Start with incline work.
It sounds simple, but it's powerful.
Yeah.
Even if you just do it temporarily, prioritize those incline movements for a few weeks. Give that area your best energy.
It makes total sense. Focus your prime resources where you need the most growth. Any potential downside for someone used to, say, full body or hitting big muscles first?
Not really a downside for growth in the target area. It's more about adjusting your mindset in your routine. If the upper chest is the priority, then it gets priority treatment. Simple as that. It's strategic effort.
Strategic effort. I like that. Okay, moving on. This next one might catch some people off guard. Posture's hidden impact. How does posture mess with upper chest growth?
This is fascinating, actually, because it's often totally overlooked. But poor posture can directly sabotage your efforts, no matter how good your exercise form seems. Especially as we get older, maybe post-40, lots of people develop tight, shortened chests and shoulder muscles. Leads to that kind of hunched look, kyphosis.
Yeah, I see that a lot. Rounded shoulders.
Yep. And that posture, it actually puts your upper chest fibers in a partly shortened position before you even start. Think of a rubber band that's already a bit slack.
Ah, so it can't contract as powerfully because it's not starting from a fully lengthened, ready position.
Exactly. It's biomechanically weak before the first rep. Like you said, you're trying to build a strong muscle on a compromised foundation.
Wow. Okay, so the fix is address the posture first.
Definitely. Before you hit those upper chest exercises, do some thoracic spine mobility work. Stretch out the chest and shoulders. Get things aligned properly. It's like prepping the canvas before you paint.
Resetting the muscle. Got it. Okay, this leads nicely into another potential issue, the activation deception, part 2. So you got the right angle, you're working on posture, but maybe you're still not feeling it right there in the upper chest. What else could be going wrong?
Yeah, this is subtle, but common. It often comes down to elbow position during pressing movements.
Elbows. How so?
A lot of people, especially if they have strong shoulders, tend to let their elbows flare out too wide, maybe only like 30 degrees away from their torso.
Okay.
When you do that, guess what takes over?
The front delts again?
Bingo. The load shifts heavily to the shoulders. Studies suggest keeping your elbows tucked in a bit more, somewhere between 40 and 60 degrees relative to your torso, is much better for hitting the upper chest.
Well, not flared way out, but not tucked completely tight either. Kind of a middle ground.
Exactly. And the cue here is less about just pushing the weight up and more about feeling that specific contraction right under your collarbone.
Ah, focusing on the feeling.
Yes. Remember, the upper chest fibers, their main job involves pulling the arm towards the clavicle, not just straight pushing. So the path your arm takes, that dictates which muscles fire the most.
Okay, so think about the direction of the movement and where you feel it. That makes a lot of sense. Which brings us to the next point. Ignoring the chest's main function, you kind of touched on it. People focus only on the push. They forget the chest's main job is adduction, right? Pulling the arms in and across.
Precisely. It's primarily an adductor. And when you just focus on pushing up during, say, an incline press, you're missing a key part of its function. And this is where that mind-muscle connection comes in again. Our sources say actively thinking about the muscle you're trying to work can boost activation by up to 20%.
20%, just from focusing your attention.
It's pretty significant. So instead of just push the bar up, think about bringing your biceps towards each other, towards the center of your chest.
Or, like you mentioned earlier, that idea of hugging a big tree.
Exactly. That kind of mental cue helps engage the upper chest fibers much more effectively.
That's right.
And take some of the load off the helper muscles like shoulders and triceps. Think squeeze, not just push.
Squeeze, not just push. Got it. Okay, one last mistake before we get to the solutions. The starting position blunder. How can just setting up wrong hurt your upper chest?
Well, think about maximizing muscle contraction. You often get the strongest contraction after a good stretch, right?
Yeah, the pre-stretch.
Right. The upper chest fibers really benefit from that pre-stretch before you initiate the lift. But many people just plop down on the bench, maybe lie too flat, or they arch their lower back way too much.
So they miss out on stretching the upper chest properly at the start?
Exactly. They lose that advantage. To get that optimal pre-stretch, you actually want to lift your chest up towards the ceiling slightly, pull your shoulder blades back and down.
Create a slight arch in the upper back.
That's the key.
Yeah.
A subtle upper back arch. Keep the shoulders pinned back. This position puts the upper chest fibers on a nice stretch, ready for a powerful contraction. And you need to consciously set this up every single set. Don't just rush into it.
Take that moment to get set.
Yes, because that starting position, it really lays the foundation for everything that follows in the rep. It determines if those fibers are truly primed to work effectively.
Okay, wow. We've covered a lot of ground on what not to do. Angles, priority, posture, elbows, focus, setup.
The common culprits.
Right. So now let's get to the good stuff. The solutions, the actual exercises that can make a difference. And remember, you said just pick 2 of these each week.
That's the plan. Consistency with just 2 well-chosen movements can yield amazing results if you address those mistakes we talked about.
All right, let's hear them. What's first on the list?
Okay, first up, the lower cable crossover.
Ah, cables. I like these for constant tension.
Exactly. They're excellent for really isolating the upper chest. Triceps involvement is minimal, and you get that tension through the whole range of motion. It hits that adduction function with shoulder flexion beautifully.
So how do we do it right?
Okay, you stand between 2 cable pulleys, set to the lowest position. Grab the handles, arms slightly bent. Start with your arms open, maybe slightly behind you. There's that pre-stretch.
Gotcha.
Then you bring your hands up and forward. Think of an upward arc, like that hugging a tree visual again. Your hands should meet somewhere around chin level, maybe even a bit higher.
Not down by the stomach.
Definitely not. Keep that slight bend in the elbows throughout. Don't let them drift too low. For this one, maybe aim for 4 sets, 8 to 12 reps, about 90 seconds rest between sets.
Nice. Okay, lower cable crossover. What's exercise number 2?
Number 2 is one that gets overlooked, but it's incredibly effective and needs zero fancy equipment. Decline push-ups.
Decline push-ups. Okay, elevating the feet.
Right. Elevating your feet completely changes the angle of resistance. It shifts the focus right onto that clavicular head, the upper chest. Plus, you get great control, and it really encourages good scapular movement.
How high should the feet be? And hand position?
Feet on a bench, a step, even a stability ball if you want an extra challenge. Hands should be maybe slightly closer than shoulder width. And the key checkpoints. Keep your core tight, spine neutral, no sagging hips or excessive back arching. Chest should stay proud, shoulder blades pulled back and down.
And the elbows, same 45, 60-degree angle.
Exactly. As you lower down, keep those elbows tucked in that 45 to 60-degree range. Don't let them flare way out.
Solid bodyweight option. Love it. What's number 3?
Third, we have the incline dumbbell fly.
Ah, the fly. Known for the stretch, right?
Absolutely. This one is fantastic for getting a deep stretch in the upper chest at the bottom of the movement, which is a potent stimulus for growth. It isolates the upper chest well because the triceps aren't really involved, and dumbbells allow for that deeper range of motion compared to a bar.
Okay, setup. Bench angle is 30, 45 again.
Yep, 30 to 45 degrees on the incline bench. Sit back, support your back, chest up, shoulder blades retracted. Hold the dumbbells above your chest, palms facing each other, but maybe with a slight inward turn of the wrists, elbows slightly bent.
In the movement.
You open your arms out wide like a big arc. Keep that slight bend in the elbows, don't lock them. Lower the dumbbells until you feel a really good stretch across your upper chest. Your arms might be parallel to the floor or even a touch lower.
Don't shortchange the stretch.
Crucial. Then, as you bring the dumbbells back up, really focus on squeezing your chest muscles to bring them together. Again, like hugging that big ball or tree. Avoid just clanging the dumbbells together at the top or not going low enough.
Good cues. Okay, we need one more. What's the final exercise?
The final one is often called the king for upper chest. The incline bench press, either with a barbell or dumbbells.
The classic. Why is this one considered the king?
It just allows you to potentially use the heaviest loads, which creates really intense mechanical tension, a key driver of muscle growth. And it forces a balanced effort.
Makes sense. Execution tips. Angle is 30-45 again.
Yes, 30 to 45 degree incline. And again, before you even grab the weight, set your base. Chest up proud, shoulder blades pulled back and down. Create that stable platform. If you're using a barbell, grip it maybe slightly narrower than your typical flat bench grip. For both bar and dumbbells, when you lower the weight, aim for the upper part of your chest, sort of just below the collarbones.
Not towards the neck or the mid-chest.
Correct. Upper chest target. Keep those elbows in the 45 to 60 degree range relative to your torso as you lower. And lower the weight until it nearly touches your chest or lightly touches. Get that full stretch at the bottom.
Don't bounce it, get the stretch.
Precisely. Control is key, especially with heavier weight.
Okay, so that's 4 really solid options. Lower cable crossover, decline push-ups, incline dumbbell fly, and incline bench press. And you only need to pick 2 per week.
2 per week. Focus on good form. Address those common mistakes we discussed earlier, and you should definitely start seeing and feeling a difference.
Fantastic. So, to wrap up then, you guys listening now have, hopefully, some really critical insights to tackle that stubborn upper chest growth. Understanding these kind of subtle points, angles, priorities, posture, how you activate the muscle, its main function, even just how you set up, it can genuinely transform your results.
It really can. Small hinges swing big doors, as they say.
I like that. And remember, the message is hopeful. Just integrate 2 of these powerful exercises into your weekly routine consistently, and you will start seeing progress.
Absolutely. But, this whole discussion, it kind of makes you think, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, if these common training mistakes, things people often don't even realize they're doing, can so significantly hold back something as visible and, well, physical as muscle growth. It just raises the question, what other maybe everyday habits or underlying assumptions that we don't question, what might they be quietly undermining your efforts? Not just in the gym, but in other areas of life where you're really trying to grow or develop something important.
That's a really powerful thought to leave people with. What unseen mistakes might be holding us back elsewhere? Lots to chew on there.